You know how Fox has a weird way of counting Simpsons episodes? They refuse to count a couple of them, making the amount of episodes very inconsistent. The reason for this is a lost episode from season 1. Finding details about this missing episode is very difficult. No one who was working on the show likes to talk about it. But from what has been pieced together, the lost episode was written entirely by Matt Groening. During production of the first season, Matt started to act quite strangely. He was very quiet, seemed very nervous and morbid. Mentioning this to anyone who was present results in them getting very angry with you and forbidding you to ever mention it to Matt. I first heard of it at an event where David Silverman was speaking. Somebody in the crowd asked about the episode, and Silverman simply left the stage, ending the presentation hours early. The episode's production number was 7G06. The title was Dead Bart. The episode labeled 7G06 Moaning Lisa was made later and given Dead Bart's production code to hide the latter's existence. In addition to getting angry, asking anyone who was on the show will cause it to do everything they can to stop him from directly communicating with Matt Groening. At a fan event, I managed to follow Matt after he spoke to the crowd, and eventually had a chance to talk to him as he was about to leave the building. He didn't seem upset that I followed him, probably expected a typical encounter with an obsessive fan. However, when I mentioned the lost episode, though, all color drained from his face, and Matt started trembling. When I asked him if he could tell me any details about more of the episode, he sounded like he was on the verge of tears. He grabbed a piece of paper, wrote something on it, and handed it to me. He begged me to never mention the episode again. The piece of paper had some sort of website on it. I'd rather not say for what it was, for reasons you'll see in a second. When I entered the address into my browser, I came to a site that was completely black except for a line of yellow text, a download link. Once I clicked on it, a file started downloading. But once the file was downloaded, my computer went crazy. It was the worst virus I had ever seen. The system restore didn't work and the entire computer had to be rebooted. But before doing this though, I copied the file onto a CD and tried it now opening it on my empty computer, and as I suspected, there was an episode of The Simpsons on it. The episode started off like any other episode, but had very poor quality in animation. If you ever see the original animation for Some Enchanted Evening, it was similar but less stable. The first act was fairly normal, but the way the characters acted was a little off. Homer seemed much angrier. Marge seemed more depressed. Lisa seemed a lot anxious. But Bart seemed to have genuine anger and hatred for his parents. The episode was about the Simpsons going on a plane trip. Near the end of the first act, the plane was taking off. Bart was fooling around as you expect. But as the plane was about 50 feet off the ground, Bart broke a window on the plane and he was sucked out. Now, in the beginning of the series, Matt had an idea that the animated style of the Simpsons world represented life, and that death turned things more realistic. This was used in this episode. A picture of Bart's corpse was barely recognizable. They took full advantage of it not having to move, and made an almost photorealistic drawing of his dead body. Act 1 ended with a shot of Bart's corpse. When Act 2 started, Homer, Marge, and Lisa were sitting at their table crying. The crying went on, and it got more pain and it sounded more realistic. Better acting than you would ever think possible. The animation started to decay more as they cried, and you could hear murmuring in the background. The characters could be barely made out, and they were stretching and blurring. They looked like deformed shadows with random bright colors thrown on them. There was faces looking in the window, flashing in and out, so you never sure what they looked like. This crying went on for all of Act 2. Act 3 opened with a title card saying 1 year had passed. Homer, Marge, and Lisa were scantily thin and still sitting at the table. There was no sign of Maggie or the pets. They decided to visit Bart's grave. Springfield was completely deserted, and as they walked more to the cemetery, the houses became more and more decrepit, abandoned looking. When they got to the grave, Bart's body was just lying in front of his tombstone, looking just as it did at the end of Act 1. The family started to cry again. Eventually they just stopped and just stared at Bart's body. The camera zoomed in on Homer's face. According to the summaries, Homer tells a joke at this point, but it isn't audible in the version I saw. You can't tell what Homer is saying exactly. As the camera zoomed out, the episode came to a close. The tombstones in the background had the names of every Simpsons guest star on them, some that nobody had heard in 1989, some that haven't been on the show yet. All of them had death dates. For guests who have died since Michael Jackson and George Harrison, on the dates when they would die, the credits were completely silent and seemed handwritten, and the final image was the Simpson family on their couch, just like in the intros, but all drawn in a hyper-realistic lifestyle of Bart's corpse. After viewing the episode, a thought came to me. Seeing the episode for the first time, you could try to use the tombstones to protect the living Simpsons guest stars for their deaths, but there's something odd about the most who haven't died yet. All of their deaths are listed on the same date.